There are places in the world where history, nature and modern life seem to exist in perfect harmony. Today we are in one of those places, in the heart of Geneva. Behind this peaceful park lies a story of ancient walls, religious reform and centuries of transformation. A place that shows how a city can respect its past while building its future. Welcome to the Parc des Bastions, one of the most iconic historic spaces in Switzerland. In the heart of Geneva, at the foot of the old town, there is a place where history, culture and everyday life come together in perfect harmony. That place is the Parc des Bastions. At first glance, it may seem like a simple and peaceful park. Centuries-old trees rise above wide pathways, students walk through the park's avenues, families enjoy the open air, people read quietly on benches, and tourists take photographs while the wind gently moves the leaves. But this place holds a history far deeper than what appears at first sight. For centuries, this area formed part of the defensive system of the city of Geneva. Here stood the walls and bastions that protected the city during a time when Europe was marked by religious conflict, wars and political tensions. With time, those military structures were no longer needed, and something extraordinary happened. What once served the purpose of war was transformed into a space dedicated to peace, knowledge and coexistence. That is how the Parc des Bastions was born. During the 19th century, the area also became home to the city's first botanical garden, turning it into a center of science, education and social life. Today the park is surrounded by important institutions, including the university and historic libraries. Students, professors and visitors cross this space every day, making it one of the most beloved green lungs of the city. Yet one of the most striking elements of the park is the famous Reformation Wall. This monument recalls the fundamental role Geneva played during the Protestant Reformation, one of the most important religious and intellectual movements in European history. At the center stand the figures of John Calvin, Guillaume Farel, Théodore de Bèze and John Knox, spiritual and intellectual leaders who changed the course of religious history in Europe. Behind these figures appears a Latin phrase that perfectly summarizes the spirit of the city: post tenebras lux. After darkness comes light. Centuries later, the park remains one of the most vibrant public spaces in Geneva. Here people play chess on giant outdoor boards. Others walk their dogs. Some simply sit under the trees to read, rest or enjoy a quiet conversation. There are nearby restaurants, benches for resting and public facilities accessible to everyone. Even free public toilets. It may seem like a small detail, but it says a great deal about how a society functions. A clean and well-maintained park does not appear by accident. It is the result of institutions that work, citizens who respect public spaces, and authorities who manage resources responsibly. Walking through a place like this inevitably leads one to think about other countries that also once had history, resources and opportunities. Countries such as Venezuela. For much of the 20th century, Venezuela was one of the most prosperous nations in Latin America. It had modern cities, grand avenues, historic squares and an economy driven by one of the largest oil reserves in the world. However, over the decades, many institutions began to deteriorate. Socialist policies implemented by successive governments concentrated power, weakened the productive economy and damaged the country's institutions. Corruption, poor state management and economic collapse led to a profound crisis. Millions of Venezuelans emigrated. Inflation destroyed the value of the national currency, and much public infrastructure was abandoned. Parks deteriorated, public squares forgotten, historic monuments neglected. When the state ceases to function properly, society loses something essential, a sense of belonging. People stop feeling that the country truly belongs to them, and something even more dangerous than poverty begins to appear: indifference. Streets filled with rubbish, public services collapsing, historic spaces left uncared for. Yet history also shows that no country is condemned forever. Nations can rebuild themselves when there is political responsibility, and also civic responsibility. In Switzerland there exists a strong culture of civic participation. Citizens understand that the country is a shared responsibility. Taxes are paid, institutions function, authorities are monitored. This creates trust. Trust in the rules, trust in the system, trust in the future. More than 2,000 years ago, the philosopher Aristotle said, "The city does not exist merely to live, it exists to live well." A park is not simply a green space. It is a reflection of the society that surrounds it. And the Parc des Bastions is exactly that, a visible expression of a society that cares for what belongs to everyone. Now, as we begin to walk up the slope leading towards the old town of Geneva, the landscape slowly opens before us. Behind us lies the Parc des Bastions. From here, as we climb, the park appears like a vast historic garden in the middle of the city. Its ancient trees, wide paths and open spaces reveal the calm character that defines Geneva. Below, people walk peacefully. Some play chess on the giant boards in the park. Others simply enjoy the open air or talk quietly beneath the shade of the trees. At the same time, the city continues its rhythm with remarkable organization. Trams pass in an orderly way. Pedestrians cross while respecting every signal. Traffic flows with a calmness that often surprises visitors to Geneva. From this elevated point, one can also appreciate how nature and the city coexist in balance. Beyond the park, dominating the horizon, appears the majestic silhouette of Salève. Although this mountain lies in French territory, its presence forms an inseparable part of Geneva's landscape. Many people call it the natural balcony of the city, and it is precisely from places like this, walking up towards the old town, that one begins to understand something special about Geneva. Here, history, nature and modern life do not compete with one another. They coexist. Each step towards the historic part of the city is also a journey through centuries of history, while below, the Parc des Bastions continues to be a place where everyday life and historical heritage meet. In the end, a country is not measured only by its economic wealth. It is also measured by how it cares for its history, how it protects its public spaces and how it respects what belongs to everyone. The Parc des Bastions is an example of what happens when a society chooses to protect its heritage. And it is also a powerful reminder. After darkness, light can always return. Post tenebras lux.